In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use the Tombow Dual Brush Pens to add three-dimensional blending to your hand lettering. This is a super fun way to do that when we have loopy letters that overlap. I drew my word first in black and made sure to have a lot of loops. For this piece, I'm going to draw the entire word in turquoise using the Tombow Dual Brush Pen blending marker. So I just put a little color on a plastic bag and then pick it up using my blending marker. Then I'm just going to fill in the entire word with this nice soft turquoise. I will have to return a couple times to my little plastic bag to pick up some color, and if I get too much, I can just brush it off a little bit on a separate piece of paper. Once I've got the whole word in, I'm going to pick up some more of the turquoise on my blending marker, and I'm going to start deciding what parts of the letters are going to overlap each other. So starting off here with the first loop leading into my Y, I've decided to have that lead-in stroke go in front of the rest of the loop coming through to the Y. So I'm adding darker turquoise to the left and right of that loop so that the front of it is standing out, it's lighter, and it's going to look like it's out in front. And I'll make sure that I've blended that all in nice and smooth to give it a nice transition from light into the darker tone. So I'll go into the whole word now, and in every spot where I've got that overlapping stroke, I'm just going to decide what's in front and what's behind. There is no formula to this. I'm just making those decisions as I go. And anywhere I have a stroke leading into another letter or part of a letter that's not a loop, like you'll see going into the Y right here, I'm just going to make that a little bit darker so that stem of my Y is standing out just a little bit more. And I kind of bop around a little bit depending on how much color I have on my blender. When I have a lot of color on my blender, I will start adding in those areas where it goes behind. But when I'm running out of color, sometimes that's when I will just go and blend things together. So this is really faint, and if I wanted an even bolder dimension, I could go into my areas of shadow with the marker and draw directly on the letter and then fade that out. I would normally do this method first instead of on top of the shadow that I've already put in, because when I go in with this third layer of marker, it can be a little harder to blend. So I'm having to go back and pick up some color off my blending palette / plastic bag and fade that out. If you draw a word this light and it's not standing out enough for you, you can also take the fine tip of the color and do a little outline on one side for a shadow and use the blender to just soften it up a little. Of course, what's a word without a really cool drop shadow? So gonna use my gray Fudenosuke and then my gray dual brush pen up alongside of that to add a fun drop shadow and make this stand out even more. And there we go, that's version 1. Next, we're going to look at a way to do things with 2 colors. This time I drew my entire word in pink using the marker straight on the surface. So not with the blending pen, I've just made it a much bolder. And I'm going to use blue, or the turquoise, excuse me, to add in my shadows. So I've picked up some of the turquoise off of my blending palette and I'm doing the same thing. I'm deciding what's going to be in front and what's going to be behind. And I'll go through the word and add in all those areas of shadow. Because I drew yay in pink and made my downstrokes wider than I could get with just one single stroke with my brush pen, I'm going back in with my blending marker and trying to blend out some of those streaks. I find it's harder to blend out those streaks on marker paper than it is on Bristol board. So let me show you this G real quick on the Bristol board. It's easier for me to blend right on top without picking up color from the blending palette. You may like the marker paper better because you can lay it down on top of your sketches and you don't need a light box to see below. But I personally prefer Bristol board if I'm going to be doing a lot of shading and trying to get things really smoothly blended. So back to my pink yay. I'm going to finish this off with the gray Fudenosuke and add a subtle shadow on the side and bottom going right up against my letters. And there you go, blending and adding 3D dimension with the Tombow Dual Brush Pens and a gray Fudenosuke calligraphy pen. If you enjoyed this lesson, make sure to check out my 3 online classes all about using the Tombow Dual Brush Pens and Fudesanukes. I'll see you guys next time.